Hello, welcome everyone to my chess stream here on Twitch and lichess. I am International Master William Paschall. Multiple brand names, including Sladgy. That's my real brand name. And my name on lichess, which is Sparkle Horse, borrowed, of course, from a band. So we'll make my brand name Sladgy. You guys can call me Sladgy or William, Will, Bill, Willie. We get all kinds of versions. But we're gonna get started here no matter what my name is. We're gonna play some blitz classical chess, 5+3 through 8+3. I'm welcoming more faster challenges so we can play more games. So if you guys like to play 5+3, don't feel like you have to challenge me to the longer games of 7 or 8 minutes. The 5+3 is fine. Just as long as I have an increment to kind of go with. I like to call you Sparky. Dilyavatra, your name is Firestarter. I can never remember what his name is in his native language, but I'm starting to say Dilyavatra like kind of close to how it's supposed to be. Firewalker, Firewater. American Indian Shaman, thanks for your kind words. Guys, I think this is going to be my last stream. I have to leave this weekend to go back to Budapest. So I'm going to make this my last stream till we get back a week from today. I mean, I'm going to get back in Budapest prior to a week from today, but actually around a week from today. So we should be good to go with the stream on the 31st. And at the very latest, the 1st of September. I'm thinking the 31st, the Thursday, the 31st, for a stream from Budapest. I'm not sure about morning or evening yet. I'll keep you guys posted. Keep your eyes tuned to the channel. I'm saying it excellently. It's taken me like 3 weeks to master this Dilyavatra. My Hungarian pronunciation skills didn't really matter a whole lot with your name. Okay, so Thursday the 31st or Friday the 1st of September, I'm going to be back streaming, guys. But anyway, let's enjoy ourselves today. I want to thank all of our subscribers. I will be back. I have to get moved to Budapest, back and set up again. Hope that my internet connection is still good there. It should be. Everything is the way it was, but you never know what kind of problems you will encounter when moving continent. So let's keep our fingers crossed, keep our crossed fingered, and basically hope that it all goes well. Let's play some chess. First of all, subscribers are welcome to play first. Dilyavatra will be first. Nefedov, Yellow Dragoon, Active Guard I recognize from some of my simuls, I think. So 7.5, anything between 5+3 and 8+3. Increment maximum of 5 seconds. But I like the faster gains if we can play them. I feel like experimenting with different openings. I'm playing the Sicilian a lot. It gets a little old to play the same thing over and over again. So I like to throw in the Scandinavian sometimes. I should really learn to play Queen takes d5 properly, because I think Knight f6 is an inferior move. The whole idea behind playing this variation for black, which I started like, I don't know, 25 years ago, the whole idea was, you know, that it's kind of like not as well known. And that's still the case. It's still not as well known as Queen takes d5, but in my experience, it's lost a lot of its surprise value. It never really, you know, worked that well against grandmasters, to be honest, but against players below GM level, I had some success. But it's fun in blitz, especially. Alright, so, yeah, the quiet move, Knight f3, not playing c4, gives white multiple possibilities. Sergei Kudrin beat me twice with this line. I beat myself. I played badly against him. That was about 12 years ago. Tricks Only is auto-hosting. Tricks Only, man, I don't know if he's in the stream, but I noticed him online. So I'm going to be coming back to your time zone, Tricks Only. So watch out, man. We'll have to play one of these days. I don't think we actually played any games. I don't remember, did we play once? One game? Or it's just my imagination. Maybe we never actually played any games. You're going to shower now, so you can please put our match on hold. Okay. That's fine, Yellow Dragoon. You're a subscriber. Appreciate it. Check that mate says hi. Nefedov, anyone play knight c3 in the Scandinavian? Okay. You know, it depends if you're talking about, like, playing it straight up, like e4, d5, pawn takes pawn. I mean, e4, d5, knight c3. Are you talking about, like, straight away like that? I'm assuming. Or are you talking about, like, takes, knight takes, knight f6, knight c3, which I saw the other day. Okay, now Divivatra put his bishop on d3, and this is a little unusual. Basically, Kudrin would put his bishop on e2 and castle and play rook e1. This follows some Leko game, and I think that c3 was also played against me by Kudrin, but he put his bishop on e2 or c4, not on d3. It's like there's something wrong with the bishop on d3 somehow, that it's exposed along the d file. Maybe I have c5 followed by knight to d7. That could end up in a very similar game to what I had against Kudrin once before. Alright, let's go for it. We could get some really crazy stuff going on with knight a6. Very irrational positions. Probably the way I should play it, like in a Catalan. So I'm thinking here probably just drops a pawn without all that much compensation. There might be something there. Knight d7. There might be some compensation. Knight d7 might not be that bad. Let's see. Knight d7, bishop takes g6. H takes g6, queen takes d5, knight e5. And I'm threatening like knight to d3, but well, after knight e5, where would he move his queen to? Anyway, I think I should just play this one. What's your favorite opening? This actually used to be one of my favorite openings because nobody knew anything about it, but my favorite opening is still probably the Sicilian defense. That's the opening I've been playing from start to finish, from the beginning of my first tournament games until the end. I think I've played the Sicilian since 1986 or something. So 30 years of Sicilian defense. Against d4, I've changed to two different systems. I've played both King's Indian and Queen's Indian Nimzo type setup, so I've experimented with a lot of other stuff along the way. But against e4, it's mostly just been the Sicilian, so I think that's probably my favorite opening. Why is d3 unusual? Why is it not recommended? d3? d3, what are you talking about? Like putting the bishop on d3 or another d3? Who are the strongest viewers you have ever played against? Well, I mean, a couple of international masters we've played here. Let's see. What's his name? Spinal Tap Chess, Tom Bartel from the US, and we played with another international master. What is his name? My God, the Hungarian guy that lives in Australia. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? what is his name? I mean, I should remember a Hungarian name, but Pop? No. Bishop c4. This is very similar to my game with Kudrin. Tot. Thank you. Thank you, me. Tot Andras. Tot Andras. He was actually streaming here on lichess a bit. Alright, I don't know what else to do here. I think I have to play e6. And is this the idea? I mean, I guess I don't have to play e6. There could be another solution like bishop e6. But bishop e6 looks weird. He has knight g5 on that. For starters. Or knight d4. I could just play knight ec7. Then he could defend his pawn on c5. Hold on a second, guys. I had to close the door. Keep the neighbors at bay. Bishop c4. Why not knight on ac7? That's right. Then I can't get my pawn back. E6 takes. I'm getting concerned about this. Should be something I can do. Gives up his white squared bishop. Do we go like bishop g4? Oh man, I don't know. I don't know, can I get my pawn back? This is really weird. I don't like my game. I guess c5 now no longer matters whether his bishop was on e2 or c4. It just goes to c4. It could have been on e2. You know what? Maybe I should have castled and played b6 or something. Like in the Grunfeld. Could have tried something like that. Or maybe a delayed c5. Could have played like knight back to b6 and c5. Something definitely isn't right here about the way I played this. Something is not good. I mean, my main hope was that he would take on a6 when we get a Catalan-like situation where I have compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Now, pawn takes. He has bishop e3. And after that move, it really looks like I'm going to have a hard time getting my pawn back on good terms. So I was thinking of taking with the queen. Now, this is double attacked. He has to make some kind of concession, trading queens, and this looks like, yes, I'm a pawn down, but I thought maybe I can get it to c5 pawn after all. My basic idea here was this, giving me time to play something like rook c8. My pieces are all mobilized, so black has some kind of compensation. Just maybe not enough. Just not enough. Vacha's rating? Let's see. Has he gone up or has he gone down? He's gone up in classical. He's up to 22-21 now. He's a strong player. I underestimated him in the beginning. 7 + 5 Mule Skinner. I don't know, we're getting a lot of challenges, and so I'm trying to encourage people to play faster than 8 + 3. I'm not like saying it's not allowed, but I'm trying to encourage more like 5 + 3. Brundle Phil got himself deleted. Excessive use of symbols. Excessive use of symbols. Now knight b3. See, this was not something I saw coming up the road, but all right. We're gonna hope that we can hold this together somehow. Like rook e8, rook e5, rook f5, or rook g5. Is this something, or should I play like rook d8 here? Which rook move? I think I have to play rook d8. That's my king. Protecting this pawn. He has this move, which is kind of complicated, I guess. I can go rook d7 or rook c7. Rook d7, I guess. My pieces are okay, and except for the knight on a6, which is hopefully going to get back in the game. He's compromised his king side. I've compromised my queen side. I'm hoping to get this pawn back and survive somehow. Holding white's position together, it is a monster. The ultimate active bad bishop. It's a great defensive piece. I have a slight lead in development, but it doesn't mean all that much here. Obviously, I was thinking about rook e8, but I mean, he just gets on my d-pawn. If that falls... The only other alternative I had was... Maybe, as I said, I could have gone like here, but I didn't see anything with it. I mean, if I play rook e5, rook f5, he just plays like king g2. And I think that it's just a fancy way of defending my d5 pawn. Whereas I thought this move might give me time to play this and try to regain my pawn. But I don't know if it's enough to hold on. That's the question. Yep, he's on that guy. So, oh, now he has b4. That's basically gonna kill me straight out. So I'm probably just busted after this move. Now he has b4 right on time. Man, I don't even have anything. Bishop takes c5, knight takes b7. Bishop takes e3. I'm just losing a pawn. He takes d8. Can't trap his knight. Maybe I can trap his knight. Almost I can trap his knight. Looks like I'm just going to lose a pawn at best case scenario. Best case scenario, Vil. Losing a pawn for nothing, at least. It's pretty unpleasant. White has played simple and flawlessly. Like a FIDE master. B2 is weak. Hey guys, cold day in Uganda today. Are you seriously in Uganda? Who is the strongest chess player in Uganda? I don't even know how big a country Uganda is. Do they have a chess Olympic team? Lots of questions that you often have to ask yourself. Unfortunately, this is like a big fork here. I can't take with the rook. So now it's like forced rook ending a pawn down. It's not give up hope. Stay as active as possible. This is not necessarily hopeless. This is not necessarily hopeless. Reminds me of a Caro-Kann type of endgame. Alright, what do I want to do here? Bring my king to the center. The a-pawn. Can I use my a-pawn, or does it just make it weaker to go with that guy? I have no idea. But I know that I was actually worried about rook e1 cutting my king off there. I'm not sure life is so easy for me here anyway, but we're still alive momentarily. Really don't know what the best is. Running out of ideas. This may not be a bad move. Forcing him to like weaken his... Whoops. Maybe it was a bad move. Maybe it was just a neutral move. Alright. Probably helping him. Maybe I'm helping him by weakening my own side of the board here. I have no idea. Played that instantly. Now I'm basically like paralyzed. All right, I don't know what else to do. We have a little bit of counterplay. Oh man. I'm not in love with that move. He's got two connected passed pawns. Pawns. I guess I'm pretty much toast here. Shown really fine technique. I was trying to find some counterplay. I couldn't find anything. My A pawn I thought was a hope. Just a little bit of hope. Wow, C7. It's pretty cold-blooded. I think we're gonna lose. Alright, good game. Nice technique. Wow. Alright, let's see. So, basically an excellent game by White. I mean, he never let me off. Played extremely well in the endgame. Opening theory, I don't know about bishop d3. Just pretty random. 452 games with c4, 396 games with bishop e2, 102 games with bishop c4. Bishop d3 features just 4 games. Basically just random guys I've never heard of. So what am I supposed to do here? When would the computer think it wants to play c4 or bishop e2? Nothing wrong with bishop d3. I didn't see any mistakes by White in this game. The computer says he made 2 mistakes and 1 inaccuracy. What did I do wrong? Everaldo Matsura played this once with black. Hannah Stephenson. C5 is the move the computer the players play, but we're following Eirik Gullikson versus Stephenson from 92. And then bishop c4. We're following the exact game, Gullikson. This is how I lost to Kudrin. Oh crap. But that's a transposition. Kudrin's bishop was definitely on e2. I knew this position was familiar. So I must have played... What did I play against Kudrin? So I played knight on dc7 against Kudrin in this position. Wow, this is just like Sebe Nikolatakos. Exact game. We're still following this exact game. Yeah, I mean, it's very logical. So that's she played rook a c8 here, but I don't know, like maybe we need the other rook defending the a pawn. My mouse is being a little funky here. Excellent game by white. This is why I don't play this opening anymore. Alright, so Nefedov is next. Then I don't know, I got really bad. I gotta do something. I've got really bad lag. Let me check. My ping is 277. I mean, that's off the charts. I have no idea why my lag is like that. Hi Lagger Bimbom. Are you European? I don't know nothing about your position. I play logically bishop c4. You played exactly this is Sebe versus Nikolatakos. We had the exact same game, but she played rook a c8 here. Maybe I played. Wait a second. What did I play here? I did play rook a c8. No? That's really weird. I did play rook a c8, and then like the Lakos Sebe game, where did it go? Like they agreed to a draw? That's impossible. I mean, white's just like a pawn up here. Played perfectly. White just played absolutely perfectly. There's no defending my position. Everything's right on time. I'm just a pawn down with no compensation. I mean, I think you played perfectly. If you made a mistake, it was somewhere at the end, because just the computer says 41. I mean, I hate this. You know, you made blunders on move 40 and 42. I made blunders, sorry. I don't know. I mean, it just looked awful for me. So, nice game there. Nefedov, I've got massive lag, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. If it's my computer, probably. I need to clean the cookies. I don't know. It's really weird. Huge lag. It's never that high. Now we're down to 145. 157. Okay, can I get to play white too? Let's try Peart's defense, something different. That's pretty offensive. What is offensive? Yul Skinner's a tough opponent. We're not playing Yul Skinner yet, but I know what he plays. I like when my opponent is predictable. Alright. Peart's defense, one of those openings that I played in my infancy and then kind of gave up after a while. It takes a lot of preparation. Okay, so now bishop c4. I think this is supposed to equalize for black. Knight takes e4. Tough day at the office. Well, you know, that's why I don't play the Scandinavian with knight f6 in tournament games anymore. I mean, if like, let's say Vatra is like 2200 FIDE. If he can beat me, you know, pretty easily, then the opening is really probably not good, you know. That's one of the problem variations right there. I mean, I lost that exact line against Kudrin. Again, as I said, I think his bishop was on e2. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I can't play c5, and therefore it's hard for me to free my position. Later I tried to improvise in some later games. I think I had a game against Tibor Fogarashi or somebody where I decided not to try to play c5, just to try to play like b6 and bishop b7 or something like that. But you know, it's like I'm having trouble getting counterplay against the center, basically. Okay, so Nefedov here. Once again, the temptation is the temptation to play for c5 is unavoidable. There's a funny line here. I mean, if he plays d5, I just play f5, and he has to play bishop d3, and I just take his pawn with queen takes d5. I mean, I might have some weaknesses, but still, I think that that's probably not really right for white to lose the central pawn that way. So he can't play d5, and we should equalize. Twitch Internet Chess says c6 or knight d7 also works there. Are we talking about like my previous game or this game? If you're talking about this position, actually you're probably right. In the previous game, well, I mean, you know, the c6, knight d7 type of stuff is kind of passive. You know, I was hoping that Dibliavatra's technique would let me hold on. I mean, he had that weakness on the king side, and I almost got something going, but he was just too... He played it too straightforward and too well. I couldn't really get anything going. Now we have the possibility of what, knight d7 being fancy here. I'm not in the mood for any more queen, you know, end games or something where I'm down a pawn. I can't get my c5 pawn back. He should play, I guess, c3. This looks like a mule skinner game. It's a Grand Prix attack. But black should be fine here. But also, white's probably okay. I don't know. I would love to trade queens and go into the ending. But he's got c6 all the time. That may well be good for me. I'm terrified now after the last game where I like lost the pawn and didn't get it back. Now I'm afraid. I'm like afraid I can't sacrifice pawns because I might not get them back. But it would be interesting, you know, to play like d takes c5, knight d7, or queen takes queen, king takes queen, knight d7, then c6, b takes c, bishop takes c6, rook b8. It's an endgame where I'm down a pawn. I don't really trust that. Even with his king in the center, this looks correct for white. This is what I would expect. Now I just have to try to put my pieces on the right squares. He's going to play... His bishop is a pretty tough customer there. Can't say I'm real thrilled about that piece. My queen is getting kicked. It's going to have to move by bishop e3. So with that in mind, I mean, maybe we just preemptively retreat the queen. It feels really passive, but knight c6, bishop e3. Where do I go after that? My queen is going to be in a strange place. I suppose I could play knight c6, bishop e3, queen a5. And maybe deal with it that way. I thought this way it gives me some other options. Bishop takes c3 looks working. Oh man, you know, you guys always see the tactics. God damn it. Bishop takes c3 check. B takes c, queen takes c3 check, bishop d2, queen takes a1. Okay, but it's not my move. Oh, it is my move. I could have played it. God. It does look working. Bishop takes, queen takes king f2, queen takes a1. He doesn't have enough compensation. Darn it. You're right. Alright. Playing too tamely. Too tame. Now white is equalized. At least equalized. Now this move, I think... Nefedov, did you do something like this not that far in the past? Didn't you do something like this recently? Where you had like a perfectly good position and you castled queenside? This reminds me of another game we had. I think it was like a queen... did you play a queen pawn game against me? But this is unnecessary, you know, to castle queenside here. I think even very dangerous, I would say. Walking into a potential minority attack on the queen side. I mean, bishop e6 right away. Could be trouble. I missed the obvious tactic again. Bishop takes c3. Alright guys, I'm going back to Budapest on, let's see, this weekend. So we'll be back streaming a week from today, probably a week from tomorrow. Bishop takes c3, queen d2. Queen takes a1, bishop b2, queen takes a2, bishop d5. Move 11, you definitely need to look for queen sacks there. You may have it. Man, I want to play b5 so bad, but I just don't have it ever. I have been missing a lot of one-move tactics lately. So I just don't like castling queenside in this position for white. It's just unnecessary risk. I felt like after castles kingside, he's perfectly fine. I just don't really have any play. He could look forward to an endgame where his queen majority, queenside majority might be a tangible advantage. Now, with the king on that side of the board, I don't think the queenside majority is an advantage. Probably the single biggest drawback of this. Now he's got to like weaken himself further. Black has very good prospects here. But it's still not easy to break through. How about a rook? Can I get a rook? One rook. This knight cannot move. I want to play queen a4 and knight a5. Probably not a bad idea. Probing the weaknesses. I need a little bit more reinforcements. Maybe a rook, like the pawn storm would be nice. Can't get the pawn storm in. Rook c8, a5, b5. In the meantime, white could simplify the game, which I'm a little concerned about. I don't think I want to trade queens anytime soon. So we're going to play it this way and then probably try to find a way to avoid the trade of queens if I can. This move I did not expect, but it's a kind of unpleasant surprise. He, you know, he can simplify. Unfortunately, I have basically nothing here. It's just totally equal. Bishop takes d4 might have been interesting. Could we have done this Larson type of capture and then played like knight a5? That's almost suicide. White would have like queen e5 checkmating me or something. Still he can't do it. There's something to think about. Outside the box capture to get the white square domination going, and then like knight a5, knight c4. Unfortunately here, I don't really want to trade queens. But I don't have any advantage either. So it is a bit of an issue. Queen takes queen, king takes queen. Bishop takes d4 helps his rook. I'm going to keep the queens on. And it's equal. I have some chances to open up his king with like b5, a5, b4. But he has some counterplay, obviously, against my center. So both sides should be okay here, I suppose. But I really failed to get the most out of this. He's going nuts with h4 now. All right. Attacking me. I don't think that the heavy piece ending, you know, is all that dangerous. But I can see this maybe working. He gets the h-file, some threats. It was a very aggressive move. Still, there's not that many pieces on the board. So hopefully it's not that devastating to play like h4, h6. How should I manage it? I don't know. I'm a little concerned about this. We are having a hard time today. There was no bishop e2 after queen takes a1. The bishop c1 is pinned. What line am I thinking of? It's a Pearce thing somewhere else. So it didn't work? Is that the conclusion? I hope you're okay with 7 plus 5, because last stream we played 5 plus 3, I lost on time. But you're playing like 3-3 all the time. Alright, I don't really want to mess up my pawn structure here. If I played like rook takes rook and then took the pawn, what would happen there? I really want to destroy my structure. But I also don't know what to do. Pretty awkward situation. I'm not sure how much the file really means here. I don't want to let him play h6. I'm just not really down with that. I'm afraid that'll be like a nail in the coffin. I'd rather like take on h5 or play h6. In fact, that maybe was my move there. I don't know. Maybe I should have considered h6. It looks really passive, but it's probably okay. H takes G, queen takes G, F5, and then just something like queen G5 or queen G4 hanging out with a slight advantage to white. He took with the queen. I guess this is a blunder. And I could have taken on G2 as well. But Nefedov should take with a rook here and just, you know, let the H pawn just drop. I mean, I'm not sure, you know, holding on to that H pawn is all that big a deal. I can take on F4 now. Okay, he's got H6 though. Is that his point? Is that dangerous for me? Unclear. I think I've got to do this though. At least I'll be on his H pawn all the time. If he ever tries anything fancy, like a back rank mate, I'll be on the H pawn. But I don't like this. He's got definite compensation. But that's a clearly H6 check you got to play there. Still, I guess life is not so easy for me. King is not all that safe here. But I'm going to go with this. For lack of a better move, to keep him from playing H6. We've got a pawn up, but my king isn't real safe. Along the F file, there's this invading move. Man, I'm having a hard time today. You guys enjoy the stream, please subscribe. Guys, this is going to be my last stream for a little while. We're going to be back next week, the second half of next week, Thursday or Friday. Okay, I was thinking here. Is this logical? Or E4? I'm a little scared. But I've got to defend F7. This is probably my weakest key point here in the position he went right for it too. Okay, well his rook is under attack, so I'm even tempted to play G5 now. Is that a bad move? Not really necessary, is it? Some argument for g5. Please don't let me miss anything. Alright, keeping the king side closed. He still has some compensation. We're lucky to be a pawn up in an endgame. He kind of gave it to me. But I think that white still has compensation. Maybe rook d1 here? Taking an open file? I'm not really sure what I do in that. Like queen c6? This itself probably not a terrible move either, but I have some... I thought I had some back rank threats. Let's see, rook. Rook e8. I'm going to drop the pawn on b7. So this is effectively a double attack. e6 really weakens my structure terribly. I just don't think I can play e6. You can lose a pawn with like rook e8, which is extremely passive. I don't think that's the answer. You gotta try to be active here. Give the pawn back. Play for threats. Queen f5. Okay, I don't know what that's about. We're going here. Logical. But in that case, I should be fine. And games are hard. Looks like we're possibly out of the woods. On the way to grandmother's house. He's still threatening this pawn. Sort of. Queen b3. This feels like such a weird move. I'm getting low on time too here. He like... Okay. He fell for my sucker move. He was very low on time. So Nefedov, I mean, you played a good game, and you don't deserve really 0 points for this game. I would give you like 2/3 of... I'd give you like 1/3 of a point for this game. We both made a lot of mistakes, and I don't feel like I deserve to win. But according to the computer, I was pretty much okay. Surprisingly at all points. You were slightly better out of the opening. H4 was an interesting idea. Alright guys, if you want to contact me, send me a message on the Twitch stream. If you want to contact me during the stream, we've got Yellow Dragoon up next. Whew, that was really not an easy game, and I made a lot of mistakes. I missed bishop takes c3. I'm really good with the one-move tactics. Yellow Dragoon, it seems like I'm white a lot. That's good though, because you're giving me fits when I play the Sicilian lately. Let's try to keep him out of the book. I don't know. I try to be adaptable to my opponents, so what am I gonna play? Alright. Good luck, man. Nefedov, you fought well. You fought the good fight, but really, even the sacrifice of the pawn was reasonable. So I'm going to play something positional here. Kramnik style. I've only played this in like 2 games. But it's a very safe variation for white. I think tactical players or players who love very complex theory probably kind of like don't get too excited about this, facing this move. Now he played c5, which was played against me by my Ukrainian opponent in a recent Grandmaster tournament. I believe it was played. Now here I have to be accurate. George Meyer plays this variation, the German Grandmaster. If I play bishop b2, black can play like d5 or something like that, I think. So I'm supposed to play c4, if I'm not mistaken, after c5. Here comes another tough game. So we got all these subscribers who are masters. Well, Nefedov is not a master, but he played the first half of the game very well. I mean, he allowed the simplification that's basically a draw. He allowed the tactic bishop takes c3. But after that, he really buckled down. I didn't like castle queenside. It looked too risky to me. So everybody, I'm going to be leaving on this weekend, so I need some personal time for practical things like life. I have to settle some things here in the United States. So let's see. There's not going to be any stream Thursday and Friday. I'm going to be out and back next Thursday or so. Looking at the calendar, my next stream a week from tomorrow, probably the 31st of September, is safe to say. I'm not sure what time yet. I will post it on the Twitch stream, and all the subscribers, I'll let them know when the next stream will be. Probably have a subscriber stream next. What time control do you use for bathroom visits? Oh, you didn't see the whole game. This is a very, very solid kind of setup for white. It doesn't really offer white an opening advantage, but I think it gives you a position where you can outplay players. And it seems like Yellow Dragoon is the kind of player who knows opening theory so well that my chance of beating him in a kind of normal position that's not very theoretical might be slightly better than like in a really theory kind of position. But he's played this pretty solidly. He could either take or play bishop d7 here. I looked at this a bit, and it's equal in my opinion, but probably every chess opening is equal. c5 is possibly the best move, you know. A lot of people, I mean, Kramnik's had some really interesting games against top players who have played e5. I mean, this is like, you know, the more aggressive move in a sense. e5, d takes e, and then either d takes e or knight to g4. And I've studied this a lot, and Kramnik has some really interesting games. But, you know, if Kramnik played a low-rated player in this kind of position, it might not be so easy to grind them down. Okay, here we go. Now, interesting. I mean, I'm even tempted to play like knight c2, kind of keep the pieces on the board and clamp down on d5, but I'm not sure. Let's see. It doesn't feel right, I mean, to not develop my pieces though. However, after bishop d7, I mean, this is an interesting idea in the normal lines of symmetrical English. So let's give it a shot. Try to play basically not letting black trade pieces in the Marazzi type of situation where I have a pawn on c4. But I am losing a little bit of time. I am pulling the knight back. The knight has a good path though to e3, potentially controlling d5. So it's not like a complete waste of time. I'm keeping him bottled up by not letting him simplify. I think that a lot of people in Yellow Dragoon's shoes might have played, you know, knight takes d4, trading pieces. That's like the safest move for black. He's obviously not afraid. He has nothing to fear in this position. But again, like weaker players might want to simplify. So in this business, I have to really think about whether or not it's, you know, worthwhile or even, you know, necessary to play like rook e1 and like bishop h1, rook e1, bishop h3, bishop h1. Is that something that I want to do? Keeping pieces on the board. And I guess there's something to be said for it, but rook e1, like bishop h3, bishop h1, maybe queen g4. That gets really weird. Or do we let him trade that? Let him trade that piece. Knight c3, bishop h3, and then what? If knight c3, bishop h3, queen d2, I'm thinking. But then he has like bishop takes g2, king takes g2, knight e4. Knight takes e4, bishop takes b2 with an equal game. So there's a question about this. There's also maybe knight e3. There's even knight d2. Knight d2, bishop h3, knight f3, just kind of guarding my king's side. Pretty unusual means of development here, I would say. I really don't know the best setup is. I intended to play knight c3. Now I'm feeling like it's a little bit slow. I don't know, rook e1, bishop h3, bishop h1, queen f5. Start to have some threats against my king. Let's go with this. This looks like a kind of safe plan. But I admit I have no advantage here. This position is probably equal. Alright, so now what? Bishop h3, knight f3, or maybe rook c1 is a consideration. Just completing my development. I like the way that black is played. I like white's advantage is probably 0 here, but I'm probably not worse. I don't know. Rook e1. It was interesting, very combative and more complicated. Last stream until September. Yep. Yeah, I'm not going to be streaming. I got very important business to attend to here. And then I've got to get set up back in Budapest. Last stream until a week from today. Basically the last, well, maybe the last day of August. I think Divyavatra, like the last day of August, I'll probably be streaming. Now he goes off on a tangent. He plays a5, which, I mean, it's probably not a terrible move. It kind of makes sense since I didn't play knight c3 to do that. But fundamentally, wonder if I should play a4 myself. I mean, should I fear a4? Just play something like knight c3, knight e3. Maybe take on a4. This could get kind of weird. Discouraging a4. I want this knight in the middle anyway. If bishop h6, bishop takes f6, bishop takes e3, bishop back. That'd be funny. Trying to get control of d5. We might have bishop takes f6 and knight d5 at some point. So I'm not sure, you know, if this was worthy of spending time on that plan, or black should play something simpler. Till the end of August, basically. Time management, you'll learn. It takes time, though. Alright, now we're taking with the king. Keeping h3 guarded. Knight g4. Now for my next trick. That's a cute move. So knight takes h4 like wins material. I mean, knight takes g4 wins material for him. Probably gonna have to let him bust up my pawn structure here. Just play. It's probably not the end of the world. It's a lot of probablys. I do have pretty good control of the center. I also have the F file. What would Budvinic think about this? I mean, objectively, I'm probably okay here. It's hard for him to attack these pawns, and we've got knight d4, which is going to be a very powerfully placed knight, offsetting my structural disadvantage. I mean, this kind of recapture I make all the time in the Dragon, but normally we don't want to do it, you know, when the pawns are isolanis like this. I don't really feel like I had a choice there, so I'm just going with the flow. But I do want to be careful about the situations I enter into here because of these pawns. You know, you don't want a knight endgame or something like that. Heavy piece endgame or undouble the pawns. They are controlling central squares. No more Divyavatra after September. What's that? You'll hang out with you till the end of September, but then I have some work to do. That sucks. Become a professional chess player. Alright, knight b4. Wow. This move is so weird. Wow, this is such a weird move. I mean, okay, what are we doing? I mean, he's attacking my A pawn, but that's not what this is about. This is something else. Like, he wants to go knight a6 here. He wants to put his queen on c6. But if I play just queen d2, my pieces are actually pretty well placed. That I can't argue with. These guys are pretty good. F3 knight, both rooks could have some potential. I actually see a plan for black here, which didn't occur to me before. Man, I see some weird tactics. The more games I play, the better my tactics become. When I don't play, as is the case lately, a lot of games outside the stream, you guys can see my tactics kind of go to shit. So oftentimes I miss like one move tactics. I should be doing problems like here on lichess or another, you know, tactics site. 365 chess. What is that site with the tactics problems? Is it 365 chess? Yeah, this is the best move. He solves all the threats I had are denied with that move, basically. All my immediate threats, anyway. I have queen d4 check. Queen d4 check followed by a3. But I don't necessarily want to trade queens into this ending. I was talking about knight endgames. I mean, I really don't want to do knight endgames. Ambulance is coming. I'm used to that from Budapest. So weird to hear the ambulance is here. He defends his pawn on a5. This is an excellent move. I wish my rook was on the d file now. That's not a bad idea, but this pawn is a liability. Alright, so knight d4. It's kind of a cute idea. Hard to argue with the placement of the knight on d4. This is one of many moves I could potentially play here. Screw the pawn structure. He has a really good square on e5 though. Looking for tactics with like rook takes f7. Just doesn't quite work. Or does it? Doesn't quite work. Unfortunately, we're real close to something there. What we need is like queen b2. I mean, both kings are somewhat exposed here. He's getting extremely low on time. But with a 3-second increment, I mean, this shouldn't be fatal. What are my favorite chess books? Says Check Them Mate. 500 Master Games of Chess. That's probably like #1. Rook takes f7 check. Man, this is interesting. Like he wants to play d5 or something? Yeah, queen b2, queen e5 would just like devastate me. So rook takes f7. Some provocative rook move. e4. Rook takes, king takes. Rook f1 check, king g8 only move. Like a3 doesn't really help me too much. I'm sort of panicking now. Panic mode. All right. Wow, that is such a good move. F5 stopping e4. Fixing my isolated pawns. Absolutely brilliant. Dropped his queen. Some kind of mouse slip. A mouse slip or a very bad blunder. Could have been a mouse slip. He was like touching his queen. Do I take with the king or with the pawn? Pawn takes, rook takes, rook takes. Say undouble my pawns here. No, he just went. Played it safe. I played it safe too. Now it's probably a draw. I just could have won a pawn there on e5. Yeah, make the right move. Okay. I will offer a draw now. Alright, yeah, after king f6, I'll take the draw. But after another move, I might not. Okay. Okay, we made some silly moves at the end here, but I wonder how bad my disadvantage was. The computer says I'm a tiny bit better. Maybe I'm a tiny bit better here. But I think it's enough. I've had enough. This game was kind of torturous. I was scared I was worse. Maybe I wasn't in reality. Let's see what the engine says. For move 24, I was okay. There, he hung a pawn for a moment. But I want to see what the engine says. It says I played well. It says we both played well. He blundered e5 for a second. That happens in time pressure. He was a little bit better. Yeah, that's what I felt. I mean, around here. This structure isn't tragic for white, but I do have some dynamism, you know. But objectively, you know, it's probably not great. I didn't like his move a5. I thought he should focus on... I don't know, though. I mean, a5 is a creative move. He was taking advantage of the fact that my knight wasn't on c3. He's got to do something. I mean, h5, a5, move your rook pawns. Anyway, thanks for the game. We're going to play the next subscriber, Mule Skinner. So far, I have one loss and one win and one draw against our subscribers. Mule Skinner, what am I going to do with you, man? The French defense. He blunders his queen. I think that was a mouse slip. I mean, I don't know. He was touching the b6 pawn. I mean, I really... I thought he was going to trying to move his queen basically and touch the b pawn. So I have absolute 100% mouse slip forgiveness. Soltigo, I didn't see like queen b2 really doing anything. I was afraid his queen was going to transfer to e5. He found a really good move. I mean, when he played queen c5, that was, I think, the best move he played, because it prevented all my threats, and it also gave him like some offensive options as well. Okay, on another note, this setup here that Mule Skinner is playing, I don't know what it's called, like the Wade variation or something, but I was having to play a guy like last fall in a tournament, and I was preparing for someone who played like, you know, knight f3. And when you play people like myself who play knight f3 a lot, it's very hard to find something to get the game into kind of, you know, dynamic or imbalanced sort of structures and stuff. And I think this line with d6, bishop g4, it has its imperfections, but I still think that this is a really good way for black to basically play for a win, you know. It's like you can kind of play the setup against everything, arguably, you know, including e4. But I think here it's totally playable. It's like a kind of Trompowsky. Mouse slip rare, but happens. I never played on like browser-based interfaces before last year, so I still am not really used to the way the pieces move on you know, my interface, you know, using the browser. I have a tendency to make mouse slips. I played on the Internet Chess Club for years, and the interface on there works. It feels a little different. Somehow, I don't know why, but it just feels like it's easier to make mouse slips on the web-based interface. Yellow Dragoon, thank you for the game. You definitely got out of the opening with equality, and that's not, you know, unexpected for me. When I play that variation with like b3, and I think when someone like Kramnik plays it, I mean, you're not really expecting white to get an advantage, but what you do want to get is an interesting position, maybe with all the pieces on the board, and hopefully you can outplay, you know, somebody down the line. Here it's possible for me to play like queen b3, but if you do that, I think black can simply play queen c8. However, I'm not sure about e6. I guess this is pretty standard, actually. Now, if we go from this position, look in the database, queen b3 is probably even less effective now because he has queen b6. So it's a little awkward. I mean, you can even do g3, but I'm going to just settle for like e3 or e4. I don't know. Mule Skinner and I probably had some games in this position before a long time ago, but it's been, again, like really long ago, so I forgot. I could also play e3 or e4. Either play e3 or e4. He's going to play for d5, and I mean e3 leaves me with kind of passive position, arguably, but we'll do it. e4 is different. Okay, enjoy your sleep, man. Have a nice rest. I will analyze the opening and see if we can improve on that. So, b3 Kramnik against the King's Indian. Kramnik's played everything against the King's Indian. I mean, you know, he plays the main lines too. Basically, I'm going to play a kind of Slav here. Slav type of plan where I go for the two bishops. The bishop will go to g2 maybe. Kind of guard the weaknesses around the king's side. A little bit like if you watched the other day, on Monday, I played Yellow Dragoon on the white side of a Smyslov King's Indian, and it's the same thing. We're extending the king's side, weakening ourselves slightly, but going for the bishop pair, and it should be an imbalanced position with chances for both sides, objectively. It is basically transposing to a kind of Slav. Black will eventually most likely play d5 at some point, play with this pawn structure. That's the idea. You know, he has the white square pawn structure. He has to be careful not to mess around too much, though. I mean, I might have some trick somewhere. I don't see it, though. I'm just going to take this. He might have been able to play like knight e4, by the way. Knight e4, knight takes g6, knight takes c3, b takes c. I don't know if that's really good for him. Alright. Now, in these Slav type of positions, it's like a Marin. E3 Slav. Basically, white can castle on both sides. There's all sorts of different sort of setups. I remember watching Benjamin Glidura get absolutely crushed by Ivanchuk. Not Ivanchuk, Topalov, sorry. Glidura Topalov, this was a game like early this year. Glidura was like one of my teammates in the Hungarian team championship, and he's becoming a really strong GM in Hungary. But Topalov just proved that like it's not easy for white to play this kind of structure. I mean, you have two knights in a kind of closed position. This actually is a good choice for Muleskinner. He plays, oddly, he plays the Benko against d4, but I always sort of tease him about that because it's kind of a weird choice for him. I'm loving closed positions as much as he does. Alright, I'm expecting black to play d5 and maybe knight b6 at some point. I'm kind of holding off on completing my development here. Queen e2. This could give us options to castle both sides. And it also defends this pawn, which is an annoying liability. I want to kind of keep him in the dark here. I almost played bishop d2, then I realized that may not be the greatest move because he can play like d5 and knight b6 and knight c4 on it. I'm not sure that's even good, but this is a hard position to play with this time control. I mean, there are just literally so many plans you could possibly choose from here, and so little time to do it. So yeah, now I'm looking at this as a possibility. Kind of, he tries to force things. Let's say, obviously I can play b3. That's very likely like what will happen. We can take on d5. That's kind of like the Ivanchuk Glidura game. I mean, basically this kind of structure. A little different though. I think Glidura. Maybe not Ivanchuk. I keep saying Ivanchuk, but Topalov. Topalov like castled pretty early. He's delaying castling. Not in love with this bishop here, but what else to do? b3 I could have played, but then bishop b4 and queen a5. That's actually what Topalov did. I think he like played bishop b4 later on and traded like bishop for knight and played with two knights against two bishops in a closed position. But it obviously depends on the exact situation. Guys, welcome to my stream, International Master William Paschall. This is our last stream until the 31st of the month, so we're taking a week off to relocate in Budapest. And then we'll be back better than ever with more streams. More streams than ever. So don't be disappointed if I don't stream for a week. It will be worth the wait. We're going to be streaming as much as we can when I get back. Probably up to 6 streams a week. So I'm hoping for 6 streams a week. Whereas in the summertime I've been doing like 4. 3 or 4. No, I've been doing 4 or 5. But we're going to be up to 6 weekly streams in September. So it should be good. Anyone know the result from Levan Aronian? Aronian. I always mispronounce this name, but it's alright. We're friends. He'll forgive me. Rook c8. A good move or bad move? I mean, rook c8. He's so fixated on not castling. Doesn't really matter, I guess. Look at this, like take c5. He's got to watch out for that guy. I mean, He's got a risky decision to make there if he wants to play for c5. Naturally, I can play c5, but that's it. Like, once I play c5, there's no going back, you know, and he may have e5 breaks. I think we have to castle kingside at this point, probably most points. I mean, if I was going to castle queenside, I would have had to set up entirely differently from an earlier point. You did not see that coming. Specific time for streams from Hungary. Specific time is probably like something like 10 a.m. Central European time, and something like, you know, 6 p.m. Central European time. But this is tentative. My old streaming time is 10 a.m. Central European time, but I'm going to do evening streams like 3 days a week, so we'll have like probably 6 p.m. for the evening streams and 10 a.m. for the, you know, so that'll be something like noontime USA. When I do evening streams in Europe, it'll be around noon here. But I don't want to commit to a definite fixed schedule. I mean, we can, with the subscribers, we can kind of maybe talk about it and see what you guys like the best. Not many challenges today. That's true. Is our stream up? It must be. Yeah, it's weird that we don't have more challenges. Who is Jay? Did you just subscribe? I'm sorry, I'm missing my moderator. I didn't notice. We had this new subscriber. Who is Jay? Anyway, I missed your subscription. Who is Jay? A couple days ago. Did you possibly did you subscribe when we weren't streaming, or I totally missed it. I'm so sorry. 94. All right, man. I mean, this feels like it has to be good for me. We're gonna open up the bishops now. Bang. Taking on e4, giving him the h file is even interesting. Bishop takes e4, rook takes h3, king g2. Just taken over on the king side. But the other possibility of f3 is obviously really interesting too, because that would open the f file by force. So I don't know which way you want to do this. Bishop takes e4, followed by rook takes h3, king g2, rook h4, and then like rook h1. Actually, both lines look good to me. I really like both variations. It's a tough call though, choosing between like f3 and somehow this not moving my f pawn feels a little more like my center is really strong. Like long term, I have a really powerful center. I traded off an h pawn, so this decision to play bishop takes e4, maybe I'm thinking more like endgame, long term, having a central pawn mass that's very powerful. But I think this is a risky decision by Muleskinner to play like knight e4. The computer is gonna like freak out when it sees that and evaluates the position. It's gonna say, no, that's not a good idea. Do we have anything creative? Like f4 maybe, just like grabbing all sorts of space, clamping down with f4. Gotta admit, like when you sound like ancient aliens, it sounds pretty good. f4 c5. Man, I mean even f4 is good. Just controlling everything. I mean, I have like bishop e1. And I'm just going to play this. I mean, it's always possible I could miss some kind of obvious tactical shot, but I just didn't see it. Trusting my gut here. Now he goes like berserk with g5. I just don't see anything special for black here. I mean, he's now threatening to win my... He's threatening to win my pawn in the center. Probably not a big deal. I mean, I can even take on f5 now, and I have a check on h5. Always check it might be mate. That's what all the best players always think. But I'm more concerned about more important things, you know, like making sure all my pieces are mobilized. And look at this position opening up, really opening up for the bishop pair. I mean, that's so huge. This knight is just a huge wasted piece. Has nothing to do. It's almost like he's playing with piece odds. And his king is nowhere. It's definitely not safe. I mean, my king is a little bit open, but we can live with that. Alright, he's going to be stubborn about this. He is going to be stubborn about this. I don't know. I think I made a mistake. I missed the point here, missed the boat, the proverbial boat. Now I'm in trouble. Maybe I'm not in trouble. He missed the boat too. He could have played a much better move there. That stupid bishop is killing me. Oh man. I don't know what I'm thinking. This is just really bad planning by me. I can't seem to break through. Wow. Just lost my queen. I have no idea what's going on now, basically. I think I know what's going on. I'm just like losing. God damn. How could this happen? Just an unequivocal disaster. Bishop e1. Terrible. I really underestimated the threats to my own king in this game. I thought I was safe. That was far from the truth. Whoa. I guess I'm threatening nothing. I'm just lost. Just lost. Neil Skinner's going to take me out. It's been a long time. What is going on here? Okay, man, I mean, you're just totally winning. You gave me a draw because you felt sorry for me. I think you could just take on e4. Oh, man. Nice game, though. Having a rough stream, but you're just totally winning. Even at the end, just take the pawn on e4. I mean, that's... Or you could just take anything. Yeah, I lost my queen. Oh, man. I mean, you just take here. He was a little nervous with the time pressure, but I mean, I don't have anything. This is just totally lost. So, anyway, write it down as a draw. What's that? Alright, guys. Don't make any false accusations against your brothers about using a computer. Who else do we have as a subscriber who has yet to play? Zen Chess. Actually, who is L? Is that you? Who is L is our other... It's who is L. I called him who is J. Sorry. 5 plus 3. It's really easier to read your name on lichess than the Twitch. I don't think anybody needs a computer to beat me today. That was a point in your bag, Neil Skinner. I just really underestimated the threats against my king. I mean, he played very sloppy chess that game, and I just underestimated it. My king is still out in the open, you know, and I'm talking about his king being exposed, but it ended up being my king. I just castled, which is actually not what I meant to do. I meant to play d4. That's fine. We get to transpose to a variation I wanted to play anyway, and this is what Anand is playing. I mean, he plays like cd, knight takes d4, e5, knight takes c6, b takes c6. And I always thought like trying to play the Grunfeld modern exchange variation with colors reversed would be bad for black, but Anand has beaten some good players like MVL and Caruana or somebody. I think the Chinese guy I played 10 years ago, I don't remember his name. There was some Chinese master and he wasn't very high rated, and he played this. I got a totally winning position and then screwed it up. So here there's a lot of moves I could play. I could even play c4 probably. c4 is kind of a crazy idea. I mean, this should be good. Knight e5. This is no doubt like probably the main move. It's basically a reverse bishop g5 Grunfeld. You found a couple days ago my personality type is INTP. I don't know personality types well enough. I don't think anybody's game was played by a computer today. It's certainly not my own. I can guarantee that. Guys, we're going to be back September 31st, approximately. I mean, August 31st. Sorry. A week from tomorrow. I got to take care of some things here on the business end in the US of A. Before I go back to Budapest after this weekend, and I have to get set up again in the office, so we'll be back probably Thursday of next week with a live stream. I will update you, and the subscribers particularly, I'll send you an email. Bishop h5. Okay, so now what is the question? Knight takes in c4. Or we can try to take a pawn. It's like a reversed variation. Take the pawn variation. Not my favorite. Well, now c4, knight takes d4 looks like a problem. Baby. So that's out of the question. But there is like takes in c4, which looks pretty much standard. Or does it? Takes in c4, takes on d4. I mean, I'm wondering if I could sack a pawn around here. Can I sacrifice this e2 pawn for the sake of development? I would think it would be playable. I mean, black, it's almost going to turn into an open Sicilian if this thing starts to open up totally. Take. I'll take on d5 first. Then take on d4, sack the pawn, and then go for development. But this is good that you played this variation against me, bishop g4. I need to take a closer look at this. The one time I faced it, I got an amazing position against the guy. But it isn't obvious that it was the same. You know, I'm not sure he played bishop h5. He might have played something weird, like bishop f5. Who the heck is EL? EL, like EL? MVL? I think I said MVL. And you probably heard EL. That's what we're talking about, MVL. Not EL. I had a funny story. I had this when I lived in this one place. I shared a phone with another guy in another room. We had one phone line because we couldn't get another line in the house, and so we had to share the same phone line. And there was this guy who was one of my students named Ariel, like the mermaid, like the Little Mermaid, Ariel, you know. But this guy, my housemate, one time he took a message and it was like, he thought the guy's name was like literally R-E-L. So he left me this message that said like the letters R-E-L. I was like, R-E-L call. I was like, what are you talking about? Like R-E-L. It took me at least 20 minutes to figure it out. MVL. How long have you been living in Hungary? I'm in the US now, going back in a week. Since 2004. 13 years, I can't believe it. But I come back here every year, try to sort things out with the federal government. But I'm hiding from the IRS. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. It hasn't gotten to that point yet. They do send me letters occasionally. But seriously, I've been living in Hungary since 2004, and I like it, you know, but I do get homesick, so I need to come home and live here for a couple months to feel like I'm sort of grounded, and then I can go back. I actually played in Hungary way back when, in the 90s, in the late 90s, in 97 and 96, 97, 98. So I always liked it. And who is L is, he's hanging tough here. This bishop on h5 is just super annoying. Queen a4. Drop my pawn. So we take this guy. We take this guy and we're going to hit his c-pawn with something. Like queen a4. This is something I'm not really used to, the bishop being on h5 in this kind of structure. Occasionally I'll see it on f5 and sometimes on c8. That's what we like the best. But On h5, it's always biting at my pawn on e2. So I got to keep an eye on it. It's pretty well placed, actually. The rest of his position is the question. Can you speak Hungarian? Igen. Beszél magyarul. I speak Hungarian. My grammar is horrible, but my vocabulary is okay, and I know like millions of phrases. I've been considering moving to St. Louis, Missouri, and pursuing a chess title. Haven't played a tournament in years. Why, you know, why particularly St. Louis, Missouri? I mean, I know that the U.S. Chess Center is supposed there, whatever that is. But you know, there's the fly-by-night billionaires. I wouldn't plan my life around them. But there are lots of cool places you can pursue chess. New York City, Boston. I'm sure California has a good chess scene. But not to say anything. I have nothing against St. Louis. Bishop takes c5. So here was my plan. Queen a4. For whatever it's worth. Yeah, Zen chess. I mean, I pursued chess, and to the detriment of my academic success, but I'm not gonna say it's a bad idea. This is pretty cool. He's got like queen takes c6, rook c8 with equality. So queen a4 ended up being a pretty stupid move, I think, and probably he's equal now. Queen takes c6. Maybe I spoke too soon, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm speaking too soon. We're gonna have to take this, and we're gonna have to play with this weird structure, I guess, and just hope that maybe his c-pawn is a weakness. We've got to watch f2 though. All of his pieces are mega active, and I think, whoa, he went d4. Okay, that makes sense too. I didn't expect that. I was all thinking about the other way. Okay, we could have problems after this move. This is just going to make it worse, probably. Rook d1. I think I'm in trouble anyway. Won't be anything new. Queen a4 was a bad move. Who is L? He's probably going to take me out here. I don't like my position anymore. Let's try something a little bit weird. A little weird and combative. Confuse the issue, basically. Yeah, okay. I don't mind him taking. I was really scared of the other possibilities. This looks like it might not be that bad for me. I think in the other cases, like where he's patient there, I might be in really big trouble. So he was on the right track, and he still seems to have something, but hopefully not enough. This guy is obviously a competent blitz player. You kind of hustled me a little bit with the 1800 rating. I mean, I feel like I've been like hustled, you know. That move is another stunner. We gonna get lucky and win here? I don't deserve it. But he did neglect the back rank. Yeah, we're just super lucky. I mean, I was pretty close to lost. Not really sure what to do. We're obviously winning. He's got good technique. This is not a novice, you know. I kind of thought I was playing like a kind of novice here, but not. You also like underestimate people. I mean, lichess ratings, 1897 would probably be around like look how fast he is too. You know, by lichess ratings, you'd be like 1700 max, you know, US rating, and he's pretty fast, you know, so I definitely took him a little too lightly. He's got good technique, extremely fast. This is a player who's played a lot of blitz, I would think. He's also not giving up very easily, making this a really difficult technical win for me. I just made a very dumb move. I guess I should play king e3 there. But I mean, this is really just, my day continues to be extremely awkward. I haven't had one easy game. I've had a lot of tough ones, and I should have probably been close to losing this. At maximum a draw, you know, and like fortunate to get that, basically. But the proverbial back rank problem. The rook pawns. So many rook pawns. So little time. H4. No stalemates, I hope. Who is Al, man? I mean, maybe you weren't winning, but you were pretty darn close to it. I can't believe how bad I'm doing today. Alright. Queen a4 was a bad move. I'm curious about this opening, though. Like, I want to see this before we go on to the next game. Ah, mouse, mouse, mouse. Let's go back. I'm not even sure knight e5 is the best move. Oh, man. Alright, we're having mouse issues. And I think we're having our lag again. Today has been real weird. We got serious lag. Let me turn this engine off, because it's just wreaking havoc with my machine. Bishop h5, best move. Only played in 8 games. It has a good score. Yasser played this with black. White's got nothing better than knight takes c6 here. I don't want to play this position anymore. Yeah, this is surprisingly okay for black. I'm thinking like knight e5 might not even be the best move. You know, maybe I should play some crazy go for broke with the c4 here. Has a good score. Look at those games, man. Akopian, Anastassian, all the good grandmasters. This is a little more dynamic than knight e5. It's interesting and definitely playable. So, my worst case here was like after this. I thought he made a mistake earlier. Like he should have. I thought he should have gone for this move. Wait a minute. When I played, you know, b4. Please stop, Mr. Mouse. I thought here, like he had better. If he just plays bishop e7, for example, seems like he has double threats. Shame on me for winning games like this, I know. I'm playing awful today. Right, so moving the bishop leaves black with a clearly better game. This was a huge mistake by Huizel. I said, okay, we'll create some complications. It worked. You know, he took on c3, and then it's kind of anybody's game after that. But if you play, you know, simply moving the bishop, I mean, I'm going to lose this pawn, and you have a d pawn on d4. That is nearly game over. Now, apparently, I have this move. What's my idea now? Like, bishop takes e2. Rook e1. I've got incredible lag. I don't know what my computer is doing. So, this has only been going off for a couple days, but there's something not right. Alright. Rook fd8, bishop d2, I guess. Blokadovich. Okay, maybe it's not so easy, but I still thought this is a better chance. And there's no way I should have won this game. Anyway, thank you for the game. We've got Zen Chess up next. And I want to check before I start another game, I want to check my ping here, because this is getting out of control. We got a ping of 225. Armenians. Aronian. Thank you. Alright, so Zen Chess. Alright. Aronian. Is that better? We're saying it better now. We've got the sick lag though. I'm so sorry for this. We're down to 142. Running the computer engine is not good for me. Okay, Zen Chess. What do you play against Caro Khan? Funny how computer ignored my rook. No, but I really appreciate that our new subscriber there, not for today, but he's a recent subscriber, played that move bishop g4, because nobody's played that against me, and I kind of have this memory of this game that was very pleasant, where I got a really easy game. Ended up losing tragically, but still I had achieved like a clear advantage quite easily in that bishop g4 line against one guy like 10 years ago. So in my mind, like, I was thinking, oh, this variation is just not good for black. But the reality is that that's just like our experience shaping what we think, you know. In reality, bishop g4 is probably not that bad. And it's probably not as good as the best moves, but it's still not bad. So, the favorite Caro Khan. Every 11-year-old child knows like 30 moves of theory in this variation, which is why I don't like to play it. But I finally came to the conclusion that, sadly, I came to the conclusion that the other lines of the Caro Khan have problems. So, Zen Chess, you weren't here when I played this last week, were you? Against somebody. It was pretty hit or miss. I was a little scared. Aronian. I always say like Aronian, you know, because I try to make it sound American. But I've corrected myself thousands of times during live commentary. And no matter how many times you tell me how to say it, I can't help myself from saying it wrong. Half the time I say it right, and half the time I say it wrong. I just like go back and forth from one way to the other. I don't know why. It's so difficult. Bishop d2, a5. This is my new idea. We just do this against everything. There was a time when I used to play, like especially when I was playing poker, and I would play just chess for fun. I would occasionally play blitz games. I would have time for like one game to kind of keep my mind on something, and I would often play like lobster type of openings, like just to mess around. I would play like a5 against everything, against people in 5-minute chess. The lobster, you can play it. I mean, I like moving the rook pawns because it doesn't weaken the other pawns. Zen chess just immediately goes in the center here. So I suppose, you know, he's threatening like bishop f4, perhaps. Very well, sir. I'm going to challenge your knight. Zen chess decided his knight on g3 was not well placed, which is something that many people have discovered in the course of their chess careers. That particular one has a little bit of prospects. You know, sometimes you might see a knight going to f5, but we got to play knight f6 at some point here. If you're wondering why I played a5, I like to just scare white and kind of pretend I'm going to attack them on the king side. Maybe scare them out of castling queen side in some cases. Some shy players. I played this against Yellow Dragon. Okay, this is the endgame I lost against Yellow Dragon. Yellow Dragon, thank you for pointing that out, Nefedov. It was Yellow Dragon. So Yellow Dragon just castled right away, which is the main line. Zen chess's move is perfectly reasonable. It might transpose, and I think it is probably no worse than any other move. It's actually really easy to play white because there just aren't that many moves and they're all fairly obvious. One thing about this that you have to know, when they move their g-pawn, Freudian slip, when they move their knight to e4, they're actually usually planning some sort of aggressive thing based on g4. So here we could maybe transpose. But not yet. I guess we take and play knight f6, and then we play a4. He has constant change, who I haven't seen in a while. He would actually do like that against me. Queen e2 is the other move. So it's queen d3 or queen e2. I don't really know which one is better. Now we go here. And I guess we could still transpose to my game with Yellow Dragoon. You don't think the Caro-Kann is played that often at the top level? I don't. I actually have to, like, I have to disagree with you. While it's not played as much as the Sicilian and probably e4, e5, it's got to be like top 4. Probably after the Sicilian and e4, e5, the French is probably slightly more popular, and then the Caro-Kann would be like 4th. I mean, you get people who play the Scandinavian and the modern, but I think the Caro-Kann is much more popular than Scandinavian, Peart's modern, and other sorted Alekhine's defense. Soltigo, Karpov is black. Karpov would play like knight d7. I play knight d7 a lot. It's awful. I always get a bad position. So Zen chess goes with g4. It's kind of a weird moment to sacrifice this pawn, in all honesty. I mean, I haven't castled, and I mean, it's very tempting to take it because I don't really see a big attack. I mean, f8 is protected, or g7 or whatever the heck this is called. It's protected. I have to admit, I'm very, very strongly, you know, considering taking that pawn. Because since I'm not committed to castling, maybe I can just endure whatever he throws at me. Now the other option would be to play queen d5 and do a kind of more typical endgame thing, you know. Alright, let's play it safe here. This will be similar to my game with Yellow Dragoon. I mean, I don't know about this. It does look dangerous, but I think I could have probably tried to pull it off. Since I'm not castled kingside, I'm sure a computer is going to bite that pawn. I mean, almost certainly. I'll take it if he tries to give it to me next move. King b1, queen e4, bishop e3, queen takes g4. And then I put my queen on f5, and it's like, you'll never get my queen off the white squares. He's going to have to trade queens, and then we have one of these typical end games where white's just a tiny bit better. But it's not a big deal. I mean, I think that black should be fine. There are a lot of these. This actually might come in handy for me. Having this pawn on a4 could be a nice little space advantage on the queen side. Kind of cramping him a little bit. But he played bishop e3. I just can't believe it. I mean, alright, man. I mean, knight takes, I guess knight d2. I could even play knight takes, then rook h4 looks awkward though. But I mean, heavens, I could play like f5. So you can actually take both ways here. I don't believe this. I mean, he's speculating here. I mean, my queen is going to sit on this diagonal and all year long, and I'm just, I don't know. I mean, I'm taking it. Taking the pawn. He might get some compensation, but he's purely speculating. I can go to f5. I can go here. My g7 pawn is protected. It's a little question about where I'm going to put my king, but I mean, whatever. He could lose another pawn. I mean, I could eat the second pawn on h5 and then just be 2 pawns up. And if he doesn't have any concrete threats, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a materialist, but I think this is. He also had rook h4, queen f5. I mean, I don't know if that's better or worse than the above variation. So in that, you know, with that in mind, I'm going to play queen f5 and not like give him rook h4 with tempo. Got a lot of mobility with the queen. I can actually castle queenside, but we've got to watch f7. The queen could be a key cog in maybe like protecting f7 for me, enabling me to like castle queenside, something to that effect. I admit like white might have some kind of compensation, but I think this is really over the top. I mean, I don't imagine that white can have enough here. It's one thing if I'm castle and you got some sacrificial attack, but when my king is still sitting here. Okay, now when I see a strong piece outposted, my usual procedure is to get rid of it. This is probably a situation where that is not a real bad idea. Bishop d6 unfortunately drops a pawn, so we're going to go with the classic knight d7. My queen is not quite trapped. The ask John Bartholomew about the Scandinavian, right? I mean, sometimes the king actually comes here on recaptures, and I think this is going to be a little hairy, but I think I have enough safety for my king here, basically. Could be wrong. Maybe I'll even put it back on e8 and then suffer. Okay, white has some compensation. Here, if I had more time, I might be able to find a more inventive, you know, way to play this. Like, for example, maybe a3, and then something like rook a5, activating the rook. I could even like sack the exchange on e5 or something. I just played it kind of routinely in this position. Bishop d6 is impossible. So the queen is pretty awkward here. Alright, let's throw this in. He's not threatening anything, so why do I have to hurry with this exchange? Why can't I castle queenside? I could have done it last move. Okay, if I castle queenside, he has some ideas. All right, let's see. Complicated. Let's see. Queen e4. keeping him tied down a little bit. The aforementioned rook a5 idea. He's getting a fair amount of counterplay here. Not an easy game. Very speculative pawn sacrifice by white. I wouldn't do it against the computer, but against me it might work. I guess I am tied down and my rook is out of play. He's proven some point here. I mean, last move I could have castled queenside. Maybe I should have just done it, honestly. I think I made a big mistake. I missed something here, something really important. I should have castled queenside last move. I saw queen c4 and I started to freak out, but I didn't see I think I have knight b6 there, which looks really good. So that was a major mistake. It just looks good for me anyway. Lots of possibilities here. He wants to hit my queen. With knight d2, it's not a big deal. We can go f5, d5. We've driven in from the center. We can castle here. And then he's got this perverse tactic, rook takes g7, b5 with chaos ensuing. Rook takes g7, b5. Castles, rook takes g7, b5, rook takes f7, b takes c4, queen takes c4. I don't like it, guys. My finely tuned sense of danger has now seen enough. So he still has it no matter what I do, but I have knight d5. That's gonna mess him up in all cases. So rook takes g7, knight d5. I mean, that looks pretty awkward. Without panicking here, we should be okay. Zen chess is fishing for something. Rook h2. I've got castles queenside now, which is like gotta be good. Knight b6 check, king b8, or king c7. I mean, I don't know, but I got a castle here. I mean, I'm happy to castle, get my rook in the game. Rook takes d4, rook exchange sack. Development. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm sorry this is my last stream for a week. We'll be back, I think, on the 31st from Budapest. Queen d2. Okay, now he's got serious stuff going on over there. This is not good. And I don't have a lot of great defenses to that. So I wish I had played this a little differently, but it's alright. It's alright. We have threats. What happened? Nothing is happening. Okay, I am lagged out. Well, I almost flagged. Getting lagged out. Whoa. Now he's going to get some material back. Oh man, he missed that. He missed rook takes g7 there. He has other moves though. Now b5. I still wouldn't resign Zen chess because of knight e5, knight takes c6. You are probably clearly worse here. It says you're just plain lost, but with my computer acting the way it's been acting, I'm not sure. Guys, we have like 25 minutes left in the stream. It says I'm totally winning. Knight e5, knight takes e3, knight takes c6. Whatever. Like, yeah, he's threatening a Arabian perpetual or something. No, he hasn't even taken on f7 yet. All right. You were actually better at one point. Wow. Queen takes f4. And just take on g7. How was that? Oh, because you have knight b6 check. I did see this, but I didn't think it was a big deal. King b8, bishop g3. Oh my god. You know, barf. Obviously, I overlooked bishop g3, which is a problem. So we got a little bit lucky. We gave him a good chance there. But provocative pawn sacrifice. I mean, I think there's something to be said about just taking it straight up. Not sure exactly what he had in mind, but there's various possibilities for white here. All right, we're out of subscribers, I think. Maybe an exchange was hanging. Knight c3 check was possible too. Solti goes up. I'm sorry about my internet. I don't know what is going on with my computer. I'm gonna put this thing under some kind of microscope after this stream. I don't think it's my internet. I think it's the machine. It's just freaking out. So Soltigo played e4. I played c5. I'm a little bit bored with the classical variation. Okay, now bishop d3. Well, you can pretty much do whatever you want, man. I mean, you know, it reminds me of knight a3. The Kopekian. I'm just gonna ignore it. Play like a normal fluid sort of setup here. Now it's gonna become a c3 of sorts. I actually feel like I made a mistake by playing a6 now. Maybe I should just play d5. All right. I'm gonna just pretend it's the. We'll just pretend it's the St. George defense. Why not? You just have a St. George defense where you put your bishop on c2 for no reason whatsoever. That's what we've got here, basically. You just went like bishop c2 in the St. George defense for no particular reason. But don't try this at home. It is a dangerous opening. I have played it. I've beaten WGMs with this opening. Obviously not from this move order, but it is truly a St. George defense now. It's just that his bishop is on a really weird square. It's a fluid way for black to play. Slandering the mighty Danny Kopech? Nah. Somebody slandering Danny. Danny, I worked with Danny a little bit when I was commentating on Internet Chess Club. He was always pretty okay. You know, he was a little bit weird sometimes. I don't know why I said that, but what was weird about him? He came off very stuffy sometimes. Okay. Queen e2. So now knight c6, putting pressure on the center. I guess that's classical. This is truly classical. You know, you guys don't know that I'm an expert in the St. George defense, but I truly have a decent score. The only player I ever lost to was Josh Friedel, and it wasn't really an easy game. I think I was actually okay in that game. Now, Soltigo went bishop g5. I'm having some doubts about that move for white. But shall I play pawn takes pawn, or just should we evacuate the queen immediately? Immediate queen evacuation. Let's try to actually calculate a little bit here. Take knight to b4. Feels a little empty, doesn't it? Since I don't really have a threat. There is a sort of threat. Alright, we just gotta go with the flow. It's a fast time control. 5 plus 5. We have 2 more challenges. That'll definitely be the maximum games we can play today. I'm definitely gonna play Shamanic Sight. Sledgy's son left again. So he just gives up his dark square. I mean, I'm more than happy to accommodate you. Now the knight situation, yeah, I think we gotta go with this. I'm a little bit reticent to do this, but it should be fine. I mean, his dark square control is like not existent. Typically you'll see these c4 type of things. I mean, he can't even do that because he'll just drop b2. And I think that black is just fine here. Black is probably better because of bishop g5 takes f6. Maybe you could do something else, not giving up the dark squared bishop. I mean, there's all sorts of weird possibilities in d5. And then I usually go here. And if d6, I go over knight g6. Typically, you don't see bishop g5 though. I mean, in this kind of position, this bishop just would be on d3, and you would like play a3, and then you'd have a totally standard position. But with the bishop on c2, it's a bit irregular, and I think this favors black. That white's like basically wasted a move on this. World Loser, what's up? Dark squares. Talking about dark squares for black here. And a lot of good possibilities, but I want to focus on developing. At the same time, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I find this move, like, you know, it's hard to believe this isn't a good move. But then again, maybe it would have been better to play c4 just straight away, trying to put the bishop here on c5. But we have a limited amount of time to make our moves. I'm actually undecided how I would recapture. It's tempting to take with the bishop, then pull it back to c7. It's also tempting to just take with the f pawn, reinforce the center, and then, you know, then we can play c4 later on. My king is still in the center. I don't have to castle kingside. Even castling kingside might be good. I just castle, put my king on h8. I'm very, very comfortable in doubled f pawn positions in the Sicilian, or any opening for that matter, the Trompowski here. But what I don't want to do is like give him, let's say, the d4 square for his pieces, you know. Let's just castle. Castle and play king h8. I mean, this was my original plan anyway. You could also play something like king e7 there. A little more homemade type of plan. But I'm just hoping these two bishops will be strong, you know, and the queen, just raking the queen side. King side, that's king side. It's queen side to you. I don't know, man, what side it is. Kopek is good. It's not the Kopek. I transposed to the St. George defense. I'm a genius. I discovered the best way of handling the Kopek. Simply transposing to the wonderful world of the St. George defense. Okay. I like knight h4. I like the idea of that. Maybe I should play knight g6. But it feels non-dynamic or something. c4. I think the time has come for c4. The dark squares beckon, and he has no concrete threats at all here at the moment yet, though he could down the line. We can improve our bishop. We can play king h8, rook g8, rook g7. There's just a lot more plans for black than for white here. And this keeps him, you know, from playing f4, obviously, for one moment, which may or may not be that significant. But I have knight g6 in my back pocket. You know, this is a move I've been kind of banking on here. If I have to, I'll play knight g6, and it probably, you know, forces him to like exchange and just kind of like give up on the direct attack. So in other words, like king h1, knight g6. He doesn't have anything better than maybe knight takes knight, h takes. Then his king is actually getting in trouble on the other line. So I'm pretty positive here, you know, thinking pretty positively. Queen g4, king h8, and actually he's just hanging f2 here. I mean, all right. I mean, I don't have that because of d6. I guess we just stick with the plan here. Take with the h-pawn. I'm loving it. Loving it like McDonald's. It's king g7 followed by like rook g8 to rook h8 and two bishops. Oh no, he just forgot about the world of the queen side. I still don't have threats, huh? b3, huh? This is just hanging, and it doesn't matter because he's taking my guy on e6, and then d6 is hanging all the time. Or is it? Is it hanging? Oh, is it hanging? It's not actually hanging. That could be good for me. This is actually hanging. Okay, that was quickly calculated. Well, if I take that, then you take on e6 and I don't have a back rank mate. Is that what you're telling me? But I have an overwhelming position here. I can basically do anything I want. This is good enough. It should be good enough. I hope. Maybe not. Oh, knight a3. No. I wondered why that move wasn't on my radar. You have to take on e6 there, but looks really good for black. Let's see. Yeah, another St. George victim. People just like they fall apart. They just don't know what to do. I always use it, and it's also like a good psychological weapon because typically. So it says typically it's like people get insulted when you play a6 against them on move 1. It says you actually had an advantage here. This is the best your position got at move. What are we here? Move 12. It didn't like my move castles queenside, it being the oracle. So knight takes e5, f takes e5, and queen h5, and then rook d3. I have to admit I didn't see this. I didn't see how fast that's coming. Shouldn't matter though. Let's see, king h8, knight d2, rook g8, screw the pawn. Oh man, I'm getting